Hi there, I'm Devin Scillian. Welcome to the Local 4 newsroom. I do love a newsroom. I love the hum of a newsroom. They're not as loud as they used to be now that we no longer really have typewriters or AP wire machines. It's all been sort of digitized and replaced with quieter things, but there's still a hum and an energy in a newsroom that goes along with storytelling. And that's why I love a newsroom, because I know there are great stories being put together behind me. And I thought we would talk about some of my favorite stories over the last couple of years. It's my favorite thing about being a journalist. It's telling interesting stories. This first story might compete for one of my favorite stories, I guess, of the entire time that I've been a journalist. It's kind of a classic Detroit story at the same time. But imagine somebody stepping up to just pay off your house all of a sudden. Imagine you were just about to lose that house if they hadn't done that. And imagine that it was a complete stranger, someone you had never met before.
This is June Walker's house, or at least it's about to be. She's lived here for about 4 years and worked her tail off to make the payments on a rent-to-own plan.
When I made that last payment, I just knew I had arrived in America. The American dream, right? I got it. I did it legally. Did it the right way.
Or so she thought. Turns out the guy who said he owned it didn't, and he was gone.
Way too common. It's pretty easy in Detroit to find a vacant house, and you heard about the condition of her house. You know, change the locks, get a key, and find someone on a street corner say you need some housing.
When June moved in, there was no front door, no plumbing, and a basement full of water. But she saw a home and turned it into what you see today. The crook took off, and the company that actually owned the house sent June an eviction notice. Unfair? You have no idea.
You had turned everything around.
Yeah, and it took work, you know, because I've been homeless 7 times in my lifetime. A drug addict, 36 years, and got clean, got my kids back. Went to graduate school, got a master's degree in paralegal studies. You know, so I'm saying, okay, finding out to do it the right way is a whole lot better and easier.
A 10-minute ride away, I was sitting at lunch with the man who was about to change June's life.
June, thank you so much for your time.
NBC had come across June Walker and ran a story on their website about the Detroit woman losing her house to a scam. News came that an anonymous donor in Texas had read her story and wanted to make it right. He wanted to pay the $45,000 the owner now wanted for the property. He was anonymous to June, but not to me.
It's amazing, Jerry. I'm so proud of you.
I've known Jerry Gumbert for almost 40 years. We worked together in Texas and then Oklahoma. That's us shortly after Corey gave birth to our daughter, Quinn. Then Jerry became the head of one of the country's biggest television research and consulting firms. He lives in Texas, but Jerry was born in Jackson, Michigan, and raised in suburban Detroit.
I feel thankful that I can give back to the city of Detroit in a way. I've been gone for 50 years, and to give Miss June Walker back the house that she deserves and rightfully owns is, boy, that's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I'm going to seize it today.
And today is the day that the man who bought the house would finally meet June Walker, the woman who can now truly call it home.
There she is.
There he is.
Can I have a hug?
Yes, you can.
How
are you?
Good to meet you,
So glad to meet you. So glad. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I love you.
Look at you.
There was a tour, of course, of the house that Jerry owned for about as long as it took to sign it over to June. He read her part of the story that moved him to tears as it moved him to act. And it was honestly hard to see who was happier, June or Jerry.
Had a real moment. I had tears coming down my face.
Yes.
Because I couldn't imagine.
And we were going to try and fundraise when this angel comes out of nowhere with the money. And that was wonderful. Yeah.
You don't get to see very many days.
No, we don't. We don't.
Someone told me, why would you do that for a stranger? I mean, a true stranger. Yeah. And I said, you know, strangers, our best friends were strangers when we first met them. right? And so I've just got me a new best friend, and that new best friend's going to give me love and warmth and happiness for a long time.
Yeah. So
your lives are now tangled, right?
Forever. Forever.
Yeah.
Really something, isn't it? Pretty amazing. Jerry originally didn't want anyone to know who he was. He wanted this to kind of be a private act of kindness. And yet I talked him into being more public about it because I thought just maybe his example might inspire others to do the same. And Jerry agreed. You know what I really think is the key to the story is when Jerry said that he felt it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for him and that he was going to grasp it that day. The opportunity was his to give, not someone else's to receive. Obviously, it was a great opportunity for June, too, but I love the way Jerry looked at it as being an opportunity for him. In this newsroom over the years, I've met a lot of really terrific people, worked with some fascinating people, and one of the real characters of my time here at Local 4 was a guy named Van Earl Wright. You probably remember the name if you were a fan of CNN even before he got to Local 4. You definitely remember the voice, that's for sure. And we got a chance to catch up with Van Earl last year and find that his life has taken him on a very interesting path.
Welcome to the Old Marsh Golf Club in West Palm Beach. Gorgeous layout, old school, complete with caddies.
It's going to be about 92.
But that caddy there, he sounds familiar.
Yep, 92. Van Earl. There's only one person I've ever heard with the name of Van Earl. And he worked in sports. I'm like, that's me. That's my former life.
Yep, Van Earl Wright, the sports mouth that roared. He even made dog shows sound big.
And these dogs were simply on fire. They were not going to be denied that tennis ball. Look at them go!
The news beats Van Earl Wright.
And in 1993, the Van Earl Highlight Show came to Detroit.
The Wings win their second straight President's Trophy by scoring 3 power play goals and 3 shorthanded goals.
Oh, the Atlanta boy fell in love with the Red Wings. But after 3 years here, he left for Los Angeles and got a job at the brand new Fox Sports Net. Then a demotion started a deep downward spiral.
Me and my ego did not take that well. And bitterness became a big part of me. And then I discovered or found cocaine, and that was not a good thing. And I became addicted.
3 years later,
when I began to wake up in the morning and my first thought was, where can I get some more? Not a good thing.
his marriage fell apart, and he was crumbling too. That was when he entered a treatment center. He was supposed to stay for 30 days. He stayed for 60, and it changed his life.
Boom! I got you. You got it. Way to go. Nice putt.
As he puts it, he came to understand his ego was not his amigo. He didn't really need television. What he needed was happiness.
Now, it may seem like a complete left turn to go from television and covering the world's biggest sports events to caddying here at the Old Marsh Golf Course. But Van Earl is actually part of a much larger movement that's taken hold all over the country. People seeking joy.
I think left edge is a good target.
Covering all that golf, he'd always been fascinated by caddies, so he just decided to become one.
3.
It put him outside in the sun. It's great exercise, especially carrying 2 bags every once in a while. He's having a blast, and he still gets to do the occasional play-by-play.
Showing the touch of a blacksmith, he hammers it by.
Whenever I find out that he's my guy, it's like I know it's going to be a good day.
I've been loving it ever since. It's a very simple life. I don't have many possessions. I don't have a lot of stuff, but I also don't have a lot of stress.
I'm just so happy to see you happy, and you seem very fulfilled.
Thank you. I feel that way. I'm certainly very happy, and continuing to stay in a world of gratitude and humility and just enjoying the present, you know?
If you've spent time around the game, you know that golf courses are about stories, and Van Earl is collecting plenty of those, like the one about the biggest tip he ever got.
So he gives me a wad of cash, $900. And I'm like, whoa, okay, thank you very much.
The generosity didn't stop there. He wanted Van Earl on his bag the next day, too, and it came with another big tip.
Gave me another $900. And then I'm driving away like, why didn't you just make it 1,000? All right.
I'm just so happy for Van Earl. It was so great to catch up with him. I've always had a kinship with the sportscasters here, Van Earl, and of course now Bernie Smilovitz. But I've always had this great love, especially for the Olympics. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, one of my favorite Olympians of all time, and he's a Michigander. Welcome back as we continue with some of my favorite stories. You know, as a storyteller, I don't think there is any field as richly fertile as the Olympics. I always say the Olympics never let you down. There's always going to be a little bit of everything. There's going to be triumph. There's going to be tragedy. There's going to be someone who comes out of nowhere. There's going to be controversy, always. And there's going to be a ton of great personalities. And that was definitely the case with one Nick Baumgartner of Michigan's Upper Peninsula.
Nick Baumgartner, four-time Olympian, in search of his first Olympic medal.
Olympic medal moments are so deceiving. They happen in an instant.
Baumgartner's going to cross first.
They may be decided in an instant, but they are built on years and years of work, like the 17 years put in by Nick Baumgartner. He is the genuine Upper Peninsula article, living in his van so that he can train in Marquette, jumping in Lake Superior after his workouts. And it all finally paid off for the oldest member of the U.S. Olympic team. Growing up here in Iron River, Nick was like a lot of younger siblings, inspired by his older brothers. In fact, there was that rather famous event here when one of his older brothers got stopped for doing 45 miles an hour in a 25 mile an hour zone. Oh, I should mention that was on rollerblades. Yes, the Baumgartners have the need for speed.
It was a constant battle to try to beat my older brothers in something. And I think this was the only way that I could truly show them.
The Olympic Games have their own unique brand of torture. It's called fourth place. So close and yet so far from the medal podium. That's what happened to Nick in Pyeongchang in 2018, his third Olympics. But at age 40, he found himself with one more chance at snowboard cross gold in Beijing.
Baumgartner will not make it through, but
when he fell out of medal contention, he felt the weight of 4 Olympiads crashing all around him, along with the hopes of the entire UP. It was the kind of heartbreak only the Olympics can deliver.
I don't think people know how much we put into this.
He was talking about letting everybody down back home. I'm sitting in Detroit, it's killing me. What was that like watching it for you?
Yeah, everyone was pretty bummed that he even had to think that he was letting us down, because none of us were let down at all. We're all so proud that he just to get there.
Here we go.
Nick was so dialed in on his event that it hadn't occurred to him that he might be chosen for one more. A new team event, basically the mixed doubles of snowboarding. And he was partnered with another veteran, the great Lindsay Jacobellis.
As they speed toward the finish.
When she came around that last corner and started pulling away, man, the emotions just flooded me.
She's going to take the gold! And the first ever medal for Nick Baumgartner.
You could hear it in my voice. It was like, yeah. So, dude, I finally got the medal.
Landon, I love you, buddy. We're bringing it home.
And now Nick is going full heavy metal, squiring it all over the UP,
3 other guys alongside.
inspiring the next generation of Nick Baumgartners. At school visits like this one, the kids know a rock star when they see one.
What's up, kids?
Everyone wants a little time with Nick. They're naming a street in Iron River after him, and people are eager to pick up his tab at restaurants. But that's because so many people feel like they've been riding along since the beginning. And Nick wouldn't have it any other way.
It's been nuts. And people come up to me, oh, I'm so sorry, but can I get a picture? I'm like, you guys, I'm not like a celebrity, I'm a Youper. Like, you can come talk to me. I'm absolutely gonna, if standing next to you smiling makes your day better, that's easy for me.
Nick's gold medal is always at the ready. It's already got a few little dings in it because Nick isn't the kind of guy to put it under glass or in a safe. He wants everyone to touch it, hold it, share it. So the Olympic story ends here, doesn't it? I mean, Nick will be 44 in 2026. But you see, those games are in Milan. And the maternal side of Nick's family is from northern Italy. So
all my aunts and uncles and my mom, they really want to go. So I'd hate to let them down.
Couldn't possibly.
Yeah, couldn't possibly.
That's great.
How do you not love someone like Nick Baumgartner? I've been really, really lucky in my time at Local 4. I believe I've covered 8 or 9 Olympiads, and now, of course, we're getting set for another one coming up in Paris next summer, and I can't wait for all the reasons I said earlier. They never let you down. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're off to the Geezer Happy Hour in Ann Arbor. Welcome back as we continue with some of my favorite stories. I love classic American college towns. I went to school in one at the University of Kansas in Lawrence, Kansas, and was pretty tickled when I got to Michigan those many years ago and found that Ann Arbor kind of reminded me a lot of Lawrence. Had 2 kids go through school there as well, and so I got to spend a lot of time there. And what I love about college towns is, of course, all of that great youthful activity surrounding the university, but you find that the older crowd that lives in a college town stays pretty young too.
Everybody acts like they're 20 again here. That's a one unique aspect of this place. They're back. They're in the time machine.
Friday night in Ann Arbor is always hopping, you know, college town. But look closer. This crowd is, seasoned.
Who was here in 1974? And you'll see a bunch of hands. So it's people who are teachers and lawyers and doctors and people from the Ann Arbor area.
Maybe you think of American Bandstand as an institution. Well, Dick Clark and Company did last for 37 years, but they needed another 12 to keep up with Happy Hour. It's officially Ann Arbor Happy Hour at Live. Others call it the Geezer Happy Hour. No matter, the operative word is happy. Tonight, it's Western Swing and Americana, courtesy of Michael Smith and the Cadillac Cowboys. Next week, it'll be rock. The week after that, who knows? But it will be danceable, and it will be packed. Randy Tessier is the 72-year-old maestro of Happy Hour, which has been a movable feast.
Down the street, the Blind Pig for a while, the Cavern. Then we were at the Heidelberg on Main Street. Then we moved here. But I think it's lasted because the people make it last.
He calls this zestful aging. And since a recent piece in the New York Times, it's even zestier.
This has always been here. It's always been happening. We just happen to get old.
As Terry Gordonier points out, this wasn't always aimed at the older set. It's just that since it started in the early 70s, they just became the older set.
A lot of students at the time. We've all since graduated, gotten married, divorced, moved away. Some people aren't with us anymore.
So it wasn't geezers when it started.
No.
You guys have evolved.
Yes.
Plenty of young faces, too, because they've heard it's a great time. No cover charge. They just pass the hat, which has been enough to keep it going all this time. It's a big hit with couples, and some of them are couples because of Happy Hour, like Lucy White and John Lang. Sadly, both had lost their partners, but happily, they found each other, what else, dancing.
It's a wonderful community of people who are very tight, warm and welcoming towards everybody, very inclusive.
But Happy Hour is just the starting point. All of those Friday nights have created a community.
There's a lot more than this that people here do. They hike together and ride bikes together and go skiing and knit and bowl.
So it's just like it's always been, drinking and dancing on a Friday night. Well, there is one thing that's different. This is all going to be over by 9 o'clock because everyone here wants to be home and in bed by 10.
Yep, lots of jokes about getting to bed early, about getting carded by the bartender. Don't try to be so hip that you break one, things like that. And they love it.
We used to worry about getting arrested for playing too, and now we're worried about cardiac arrest.
Pretty great, huh? I hope you've enjoyed these. These are just some of my favorite stories. We're going to continue with more of them down the line. It's one of the great things that I've really come to love already about Local 4 Plus is the space that we have to kind of share some of these moments that have meant a lot to us. I hope they've meant something to you too. I'm Devin Scillian on Local 4 Plus.